Hi, and thank you for joining us today. Color isolation is a photo effect in which the majority of a photo is black and white, but some spots are left colored for a dramatic effect. In this video, we will be teaching you how to do this yourself in Adobe Photoshop. Concepts we will be learning are creating an adjustment layer, selecting with the lasso tool, adjusting black and white properties for better results, and refining layer masks. I will be using Adobe Photoshop CC 2015, so your version might look a bit different. Keep that in mind as we progress through this tutorial. Before we get started, let's make sure my version of Photoshop and your version look as similar as possible. To do that, let's go to the top right here, hit this drop-down menu, and select Essentials. If for some reason your version still looks different than mine, we can reset this by going to Window, Workspace, Reset Essentials. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and open up our file. I selected this photograph because there's a lot of color difference between her skin in the background and her lips in the eyeshadow. So we're going to start by applying an adjustment layer. To do that, at the bottom of your Layers panel, you'll see this icon. If you click that, that'll let you apply an adjustment layer. We're going to select black-white and apply that. Immediately see this has changed the entire document to be in black and white, but it hasn't officially changed the file. See, if we make this hide this layer, you can see the color information is still there below it. But with this selected, we're going to go ahead and adjust these properties a bit to get a bit more contrast out of this photo. I know that the background and her skin are both a combination of red and yellow, so we're going to darken those up just a little bit. And that looks good right about there. Now that that's done, the next thing we're going to do is hide this adjustment layer. So with the adjustment layer still selected, we're going to hit Control comma or Command comma on a Mac and hide that layer. Next, we need to make sure that our layer mask is selected. When you create an adjustment layer, it comes with a mask already set up by default, so we don't have to create one. Make sure it's selected by clicking here on the white box in your adjustment layer. Next, we're going to go up and select the lasso tool, and we're going to select the lips and the eyes. I'm going to hold down Alt and scroll up on the mouse wheel to zoom in on her mouth. Next, click and hold down and select the area that you want to remain colored. Try to get as close as possible in this step. The better accuracy is going to give you better results down the line. As you can see, I decided to leave the brush out in this example. Next, we can navigate around the photo by holding down spacebar and clicking and dragging. Now that I make sure that both the eyes are clearly visible, I'm going to go ahead, go back to my let go of spacebar. It's going to take me back to my lasso tool. And by holding down Shift, we can add to that selection. So I'm just going to go around, ignoring the brushes, trying to get close to that color as possible. Or excuse me, the eyelashes. And we'll go back up through here, select the first eye. And while still holding down Shift, we're going to do the same to the second eye. I suppose we could continue on and do this to a third eye, but most human beings only have two eyes. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to zoom back out by holding Alt and scrolling out on the mouse wheel. And we're going to go ahead and unhide the adjustment layer. I'm just going to go ahead and click there to do that. Next, with our layer mask selected, we're going to go apply a fill. So hold down Shift and press F5, and that's going to bring up the fill menu. You want to make sure the contents are selected to black, mode, normal, and opacity 100%. That's going to make sure we fill that area with 100% black. Hit OK. Now you're going to see immediately that the color from below is going to start coming through the adjustment layer. let's hit Control D or Command D on a Mac to deselect, and we're going to refine this mask a bit. Go up to Select and hit Refine Mask. The Refine Mask menu has several different view modes. You have the Marching Ants, as if it was a selection. Overlay, which shows the mask in a semi-transparent mode. On Black, which will make it black. On White, which will make it white. Black and White, which is essentially the alpha layer. This shows white is the adjustment mask application, and black reveals the layer below. And on layers. On layers is as close as to what we're going to see in our final product. So we're going to go ahead and use that. Next, we're going to tick off Smart Radius here, and adjust the radius, and keeping a visual eye around the edges, we're going to adjust that until things start to look a bit more natural. You can see to where I've gone here that it started to make things look kind of strange around the brush. So we're going to drag that back down until it looks a bit more natural. That looks good right about there. You can further adjust the mask by smoothing, feathering, adjusting the contrast, and shifting the edge. Smoothing the mask will take off the corners and round things out a bit. Feather will soften the edge, giving a more natural adjustment between on and off. Contrast is going to do just the opposite and sharpen that edge up. Shifting the edge will either make the mask smaller slightly or larger. In this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and just feather slightly so we can get the edge of the mask to look a bit more natural between her lips and her eyes. And that looks good right about there. Oh no, the lips could use a little bit more. Let's go ahead right there and hit OK. And at this point, we want to inspect the picture and see if there's anything else we need to adjust. So I'm just going to zoom back in, holding down Alt and scrolling up on the mouse wheel. Now we can see some of the skin tones are bleeding through the eyelashes, or eyebrows, excuse me, and here along the edges. So we're just going to get rid of those using the paintbrush tool. With our mask still selected, go ahead and select the paintbrush tool and make sure you're painting with white. I'm going to go up here and adjust my brush properties so I get a nice small brush, right around 20 pixels, and a hardness right around, we'll say 50. That'll make sure the edge between the two is soft but not hard. Secondly, you want to adjust the opacity of the brush down to just above 50%. What that allows is as we paint, I know that my first stroke is going to take off about 50% of that color. And then my second stroke is going to remove it completely. This gives me a bit more control when adjusting the edges here and getting rid of that skin tone underneath. And let's go ahead and do this on the other side. And that looks good right about there. So in conclusion, this effect is pretty simple to learn, but it provides many principles you're going to need later on down the line when working with Photoshop. Being able to work with masks and refine them is going to be essential for more advanced projects. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you happen to create something amazing by learning this, I would love to see it, and you can simply just put a link in the comment section below. Have a good one.